Department of Defense Instructions 17001, January 2nd, 2009, change to March 12th, 2025, ensuring quality of information distributed to the public, underlying principles, online communication, increase with the central harm to the control of the public distribution information does not meet basic information quality standards over the variety of the DoD information does not lend itself to the detail of the prescriptive one size fits all on set of the Department of Defense wide guidelines. The Department of Defense components should not publicly distribute the information that does not have the basic level of quality, additional information level of quality warranted for those situations involved with influence, scientific, financial, statistic information result with additional level of quality resources that source information capable of being substantially reproduced. Guidelines insert or the implement intent with the Public Law 10413, known as the referred to issue of the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995. Guidelines apply with a wide variety of the DoD IDA, including practice that have the impact of the acquisition, storage, maintenance of the information publicly distributed. Guidelines generated in order to comply with a variety of the media, printed with electronic, other form of the publication of the guidelines. Designed with the DoD components can comply with the common sense of the workable domain of the component of the domain, incorporated with the performance standing with the procedure of the guidelines exists. Information 3 of the management, administrative of the practice of the creative of the new potential of the duplicate of the contradictory process of the component of the must ensure of the guidelines consistent with the guidelines, administrative of the mechanism, satisfied with the team of the procedure of the requirements of the guidelines, call over the information publicly distributed. The DoD with components must meet with the attributed with the ability, utility, objective, with the integrity, with the design, with the glossary, and gave with the public distribution, general scientific research, information technology, information undergoing formal, independent, external peer review. Presumptively, objective components may review with a presumed objectiveness must be to do so with a persuasive information, public distribution, scientific, financial, statistical information with the Department of Defense team with an influential warrant, high quality standard that that standards in that of the peer review. It ensure that objective, influential, scientific, financial, statistical, and information must be capable of the substantial to reproduce in accordance with the commonly accessed scientific, financial, statistical standard with a reproducible standard of ensure the publicly distributed information is sufficiently transparent in terms of the data and method and analysis of the replication feasibly conducted. Components reasonably for the public distribution of vital health of the medical information were interpreted with a reproducible appear with a review standard with a manner appropriate with ensure with the timely flow of the vital information of the medical provider, patient, the health agency, and the public with regard to information of the risk of the health, the safety, the environment of the DoD with the components publicly distributed. The DoD component will adopt and adapt appropriate to the information course of the quality principle of Section 300, paragraph G1A of the D1B of the Title 42 United States Code of the guidelines do not cover archival information publicly distributed of the component libraries which do not enroll the information of the publicly distributed. Components may not authorize information adopt the representative of the DoD with the component view of the distributing information components similarly ensuring the components available these guidelines apply with the information publicly distributed components of the website, but it does not exhibit the information publicly distributed by the obtained following with the team hyperlinks over the webpage. Guidelines that do not apply with the component of the presentation makes it clear with the concern and the information seen with the one of the opponent opinion rather than the fact of the component of the view with the loss of the component resource of the information with you with the information for the official with the proposition of the component of the component share the view with the disclaimer the distinguished as for the such information. Components publicly distribution information prepared with the outside of the party and with the manner of reasonable suggested component agree with the information subject with the following guidelines. Component does not initiate with the public distribution information or with the component employed with the scientific component with the grantee with the contract with the publisher with the communicate with the research finding with the same name with the academic catalogs academic colleagues with the even with the competent retain with the ownership of the intellectual property rights for the component paid for the research. To avoid confusion regarding with the component agree with the information research with the should include with the appropriate disclaimer of the publication on the speech with the effective with the view with the correct with his or her of their own do not necessarily reflect with the view of the component of the component directs a third party to publicly distribute the information retained with the authority to prove the information of the before the least component of the sponsor public distribution information specific type of the information not subject to the guidelines include information for the distributed limited with the government employee with the component of the contractor components and grantee with the government information included with the responsible for the request of the pursuit of the Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Act, Federal Advisory Committee Act, and other similar share of the intra components of the other department and agency, corresponding individuals, person of the Department of Defense components, information alleged with the subpoena adjunctive process of the information with the previously have been distributed publicly, subsequently presented to the Congress legislative oversight process that include with the testimony official with the information with the drafting assistance provided by the Congress in connection with the pending and the proposed legislation, press release for the other information avoiding advising public of the event and activity, procedural operation policy, internal manuals prepared with the management of the operation component with the not properly intended for the public distribution, including with personal notes such as the vacancy announcements. Information is not otherwise distributed in public. The DoD agent may waive the applicable DoD information quality guidelines for the information publicly distributed in urgent situation, including the imminent credible threats to the national defense and security administrative mechanisms, under the otherwise the established mechanism that exists with the DoD component of the may establish with the make of the public administrative of the mechanism that allow with the effective of the person seek with obtain when the proper documentation provide with the correction of the information maintained with the publicly distributed components of it does not comply with the DoD with the Office of Management Budget Quality Standards. Each component must determine whether the person of the group of the organization cooperation defined with the PRA of 19 Privacy Right Act of 1995 will be effective with the components information. Administrative mechanisms are not until the replay of the supersedes existing mechanism may apply with the other procedure that also do not create substantial the right intended with the administrative only with the correction and profit may consistent with the genuine with the valid needs of the component of the DoD without disrupting component of the DoD profit making with their determination whether or not to correct the information component may reject the claims they made in need. In bad faith without justification must undertake with the degree of the correction with the conclude with the appropriate with the nature of the timeliness of the information involved with each of the component IDA that will receive the resolve of the claim but is not addressed through another established process regarding information that does not comply with the quality of the stream of the IDA that may consult with the component of the CIAO during the process of the IDA will allow with the affected person with the correction of the public distribute the information extent with such information not accurate, clear, and complete with the unbiased. Person must claim in writing, electronic mail, encouraged, brief, simple, and contain with a minimum of the public distribution, organization, location of the information, description of the information, corrective of the reason, information not compliant with the guidelines, copies of the able to document evidence, supporting with the request, information supporting with the contention over the complaint with the affected person of the claim must be resubmitted with the unless the additional information essential for the process of the request, with practical the component with a decision to whether to reject the claim and the correct of the information 60 working day with the receipt of the request of the claim and requires more than 60 working day with the result of the component will inform the requester more time required with an indicator of the reason when it's estimated decision date, but the ID will take up the following action and request the corrective information consult with the original publicly distributed where the information is required. The IDA agrees with any portion of the request he or she will notify of the public distributed information for the correction must be made with the explain the substance of the request for the correction and the manner associated. Staying compliant with the IDA must be informed of the request for the writing of the decision when it has action to take with the IDA with the degree with any of the portion of the request he or she will inform which are promptly with a review of the correct of the end for information in the region with the refusal of the appeal of the proceed with the outline paragraph 3A 3G with the issue with include the name address of the official with the requester should the direct his or her appeal to if the request of the correction of the information originating with the control of the maintain with the DoD with the component federal agent of the IDA with the warfare with the request of the railroad the component with the agent with the advice of the request and in the writing following proceed with the read with the IDA with the reviewing of the records of she with the respond with the request of the correction information IDA with the determinant of the request of the adequately survival of the claim of the information not accurate with the clear and complete unbiased with the requester effective with the person with the IDA with the must limit with the review with the information correct with the information on the clearly the determination, correct the information IDA with the receiver with the from the previous claim with the concern with the information on the question and they reject with the duplicate of the new with a similar request with the request with the agree with the IDA with the determination he or she may file with the appeal with the components with the chief of the information off with the writing within working 30 working day with the notification with the determination component chief of the information off with the process of the appeal with the 60 working days unless chief of the information off with their terms of fair review with the cannot be made within the same with additional with the time of the required with the expiration 60-day period with the chief of the information off with the notified with the appeal with the delay and with the writing notification must include with the region with the delay with the appeal and may expect with the decision on an appeal with the if the review with the component with the chief of the information officer determine the correction on the record with the request of the unwarranted component chief of the information officer with the divide with the appeal with the denial with the explain with the region with the denial if and after with the review with the component the chief of the information officer determine the information should be corrected with the include for the appeal and request with the component the chief of the information must direct to the public with the distribute the information correct with the information question and divide with the appeal and with the action taken. Reporting requirements only annual official year with the base for the components must be submitted with a copy to the ASD with the DPA with the claim with the receipt with the guidance with the appendix with the resolution on the official year with the component with the must be submitted with the record with the no later with the no and refer for the ASD with the DPA with the comply with the record submitted with the annual report with the Office of Management Budget form with the report to the Office of Management Budget containing the figure for the component of the records with the must include the number of the claim with the receipt with the how they resolve with the numbers correctly and now with the pending and approval and the number of the staff item with the devoted for the handling and resolve of such claim with the preparing documentation. So with the template of the DoD DoD Form Quality Annual Report and Complaints concerning the publicly distributed information. Department of Defense Information Quality Annual Report Complaint concerning publicly distributed information. Date official year of the ending with the WD component service agency activity point of contact name, phone, email address, the number of claims received with the number of complaints substantiated, validated, correct percentage of the total received with the number of complaints not substitute with the percentage of the total received with the number denied complaints appealed with the number of appeals granted, number of appeals denied, appeals pending with the end of the official year of the complaint with an involving influence, scientific, financial, statistical information provided with brief quality of the description of each complaint with a category of complaints that are of similar nature of the resolution thereof, and two with the appropriate staff out of the devoted with the handling resolve of the complaints, appeal of the preparing reports, and show with the glossary of the application programming interface API of the Assistant Secretary of Defense of Public Affairs, the Chief of the Information Officer, the Director of the Assistant Administration Management, and the Digital Analytical Program Defense of Information Service Agency, DoD, Chief of the Information Officer, DoD, Directive of Instruction and Manual, External Official Presence, and Information Distribution Activity, General Service Administration Office of Management, Budget, Operations Security, Privacy Act Statement, Privacy Impacts Assessment, Personal Identifiable Information, Public Law, Paperwork Reduction, Senior Agency Official of Privacy, and the Terms of Service of the United States Code, U.S. Government, and Web Measurement and Customization Technologies. Okay, real quick at the references. We have National Industry Security Program Operation Manual Procedure Governing Activity, DoD Intelligence Components, Affect with the United States Person, Department of Defense Privacy, Joint Ethical Regulations, Update, Department of Defense Chief of the Information Officer of the Memorandum, Commercial Public Key Infrastructure Certificates on the public-facing DoD websites. We're going to highlight that one. And Cloud Strategy. These changes, Chief Financial Officer, Interim Guidance for Implementation, Department of Defense Cloud Strategy, Diverse Management, Equal Opportunity DOT, Department of Defense Military Equal Opportunity Program, Assistant Secretary of Defense of Public Affairs, Department of Defense Chief Information Officer, Intelligence Oversight, Management, Serious Security Incidents involving classified information, withholding unclassified technical data, public disclosure, DoD intelligent activities, releasing official information, litigation, testimony of the DoD personnel of the witness, standing of the conduct, DoD branding, trademark licensing program, copyrighted and sound video recordings, reduction, DoD instruction reduction, social security number within the DoD. Civil employment, welfare, recreation activities reporting on appropriate funded instrumentality, military morale, welfare, recreation programs, lodging, personal program, resource management, DoD surveys. DoD Commissioner Program, Army Force Exchange Regulation, DoD Records Management Program, National Geospatial and Spatial Intelligence Agency, Limited Distribution Geospatial Intelligence Visual Information, DoD Magazine Guidings, Installation Maps, DoD Information Security Program Protection Center with Compared Information Control, Unclassified Information, Cleared DoD Information Public Release, Distribution State Technical Documents, Presentation of DoD Scientific Technical Parameters and Meeting, Security Policy of the DoD Information Public Release, and DoD Privacy, Civil Liberties, Problem Public Affairs, Privacy Impact Assessment, Guidelines, Public Affairs Relations for a Profit Business Industry Organization, DoD Forms Management Program, Sharing Data, Information Technology Services of the Department of Defense, Implementing Sharing of the Data, Information Technology Secretariat, Services of the Department of Defense, Internet Domain and Internet Protocol Address Space Use and Approval, Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework, DoD Information, DoD Instruction 852002, Public Key and Public Key Information and Enabling. DoD Instruction Security Non-DoD Information System Processing Unclassified Non-DoD Information, DoD Instruction Information Collection Reporting, DoD Information Security Program, Procedure Government Conduct, and DoD Intelligent Activity, DoD Privacy Civil Liberties Breach Preparedness Response Plan, DoD Forms Management Program Procedures, Accessibility Information Communication Technology, DoD Information Collection Manuals, Improving Access Service to Personnel with Limited English Proficiency, Development, Offending Women of Gender Ideologies, Extremists, Restoring Biological Truth of the Federal Government, Digital Government Building the 21st Century with a Better Serve of the American People, Joint Committee on Printing on U.S. Congress, Section Senate Publication 1019, Government Printing Binding Regulations, Joint Operations Publication, Department of Defense Dictionary of Military and Associated Terms, Office of Management Budget Circular A130, Managing Federal Information Strategic Resource, Prediction 7 of Agency Information, Guidance on Online Use of Web Measurement Customization Technology, Guidance Agency on Third Party Website Application Final Guidance Implementation Planning Writing 2010, Planning Federal Agency Public Website, Policies for Federal Agency Public Website Digital Services, and preparing and responding breach of the Identifiable Information Collection Paperwork Reduction Act, Social Media Website Web-Based Interactive Technology Paperwork Reduction Act, Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995, Notification of Federal Employee Auto Anti-Discrimination Retaliation Act of 2002, E-Government Act of 2002, 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act, Guidance of the Transition, Archiving Official Security Medium Accounts, Title 5, Section 552, Title 10, United States Code, Title 10, Chapter 47, Title 15, 17, 31, 42, 44, United States Office of Government Ethic, Legal Advisory, Standard Conduct as applied to personal social media use. Okay, and that was online messaging.